Warm welcome back to you. As you can see, our business editor, Owen Fairclough, here. Owen, a new milestone really in this Eurozone crisis. Germany threatened with a downgrade. How are markets taking that?
Well, the DAX in Frankfurt is pretty flat at the opening bell, Stuart. It would suggest that maybe this was all priced in, that investors saw this coming. The rest of the European markets, though, looking a little bit more optimistic, bar the FTSE in London. You can see just a fraction up. There's plenty going on today. We'll recap on that in just a moment. The Asian markets as well had a pretty choppy day, largely because trading in Hong Kong was interrupted for the morning session by the typhoon that's ravishing much of China, also taking effect in Hong Kong, so trading was delayed. Investors only really had the afternoon there to trade, and the Hang Seng managing to finish the day with just a few gains. The Nikkei just slightly off by 0.2%. Just to give you some details, if you're just joining us, so with that news about Moody's that Stuart mentioned, Moody's is threatening to downgrade both Germany, Luxembourg and the Netherlands, changing their outlook from stable to negative. Now, it is only a shot across the bows. It is only a threat to downgrade, but Moody's is essentially questioning whether these three countries, as three of Northern Europe's big creditor nations, could effectively save Spain and Italy. Moody's thinks that some sort of intervention for Spain and Italy is on the cards, some kind of bailout, in addition to that bank bailout we've had for Spain.
You can kind of understand why, though. Spain's borrowing costs taking it really into bailout territory now.
Well, that's right. This downgrade comes just at the moment that Spain's long-term borrowing costs are hitting 7.5% above the rate at which countries like Greece, Ireland and Portugal had to ask the EU and IMF collectively for bailouts. Now, today, the Spanish government will test investor confidence once again by auctioning off up to €3 billion of 3- and 6-month bonds. Remember, Spain desperately needs to refinance its local authorities, which are facing a refinancing shortfall of around €18 billion over the next 6 months.
Going to pick up on a few more of the day's business news headlines now. International auditors have returned to Greece for their latest inspection on the government's accounts. Specialists from the EU, IMF and ECB are in Athens. They want reassurance that reforms are on track before they sign off another €30 billion of bailout money. Germany has led public concern that Greece is backsliding on cutbacks it agreed in return for two bailouts worth more than €200 billion.
Two former executives from Anglo-Irish Bank are facing jail after being charged with fraud relating to Ireland's property crash. The pair have been indicted over loans they provided to a number of wealthy clients, including Ireland's richest family who went bankrupt. Ireland's property bubble burst in the global crisis in 2007, forcing the Republic into a bailout.
And China's on course for its biggest foreign energy acquisition to date after agreeing a $15 billion deal for a slice of Canada's lucrative oil sands. State-owned CNOOC says it has an agreement to buy Canadian producer Nexen. The deal needs regulatory approval from the Canadian government, which has blocked similar takeovers.
Now, you won't find this as an official Olympic sport when the London Games start in just a few days from now, but beating the logo ban is taking off in a big way for businesses across the UK capital. Businesses are forbidden from using the rings of the name London, Olympics or any sort of other branding associated with their merchandise. So many companies are using very creative methods to get around it.
To get into the sporting spirit, florist Lisa Cross wanted to add some Olympic symbols to her window display. A nice idea, but she had to make do with the Union Jack flag.
One day, a gentleman came in. First of all, he said, what a lovely display, but we needed to take the rings down and the torch because it was copyright.
Any Olympic symbols are reserved only for official partners. On average, these sponsors have forked out €70 million each, generating a healthy revenue for the Olympic authorities.
We have to raise £2 billion from the private sector, and I need to protect those companies that have invested very, very strongly.
Nevertheless, some businesses, like this small brewery in the suburbs of London, are managing to work around the official line.
We're not allowed to call it London 2012, but by using something like Eton Boatman, over this period of time, those people who want to have a really local, really British product are able to get something that matches that without us actually contravening those rules.
And it's those rules that prevent the sale of his beer at Olympic venues. That's a privilege reserved for the official provider, in this case from the Netherlands.
Does that mean I'll be in trouble if I go like that 5 times?
You're officially fired from the Olympics, Stuart.
Thanks. Thank you very much, Owen. More from him tomorrow, and the latest news coming up very shortly. Stay with us if you can.
you.